Okay, we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. Everyone had a chance to read the minutes.
It's a copy I have.
Joe, have you read the minutes?
I have.
Okay. Everyone knows any questions, comments,
Changes.
changes?
Spelling of Anderson to Andersen on 1. And then on point 4, correct spelling of Michael, Michael, and then Anderson, Andersen.
Okay.
And then on point 5, same as point 4, correct spelling of Michael, Michael. Last name Anderson, Andersen.
Very good.
Very good.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended? Second.
Second.
Right. First thing, old business, Driftwood project.
Yes, so, like I said, last time, they wanted to move in the direction of cutting a portion of the art for us to preserve it. So today I'd like us to try to narrow down exactly where we want to go. They have expressed that they believe the, tree walk that runs through Brown Park would be the ideal location just because of foot traffic and being close to downtown. So I kind of wanted to open the discussion and see what the committee thought and if there was any other ideas. But they do like the idea of it being somewhere central downtown to where the foot traffic would be the ideas to try to get the most eyes and visibility on the memorial.
I think a good place for it, and I certainly welcome everyone else's opinion, is when you initially go down Craven Street. On the right-hand side, there's an open area in, it's really one of the first flower beds. You know, that comes out into the grass. And there's an open area in that flower bed that I think would be great visibility for.
You're talking Secession Park at the end of Craven, like Craven and Church.
Secession Park is in the one that.
Oh, no, Secession Park is the one that,
Right,
that's up on Bay Street. Now, this is near, not far from the intersection of Craven and Carteret.
It has the mermaid looking thing.
Oh, that's Morale. Yeah, that's Morale. That's where
Okay.
Fleetwood and Gibbs had
Okay.
hoped to have it.
I think it's a great place to put it, and it would be it's visible from Carteret Street and all the traffic there. And there is an open space in that, I believe it's that first flower bed.
I do like that it's mostly shaded too. The sun not beating down.
This
on
wear and
the-
tear.
Yeah, the wear and tear.
Mhm.
So that's a good option.
Any other ideas?
He was a downtown character, so putting out in South Side probably see why they want it downtown.
Yeah, I think it's better downtown. Joe, what do you think about it?
Yeah, Morale is a rectangle park. I mean, it's, yeah. Which side, you gonna put it, no certain, by the flower bed, you say? Yeah,
I think, yeah, if you look at it from Carteret Street, it's very visible.
Yeah.
There, so. Okay,
So we're all in agreement,
everybody agree?
Great.
Good,
because we'll make that. So we'll vote as that's our recommendation that we'll recommend that Morale Park will be the location for the memorial.
okay.
So I'll put it to a vote.
What kind of time constraints are we looking at?
I think obviously now that we're just looking to cut out the portion of the art and then get it preserved, I'm still working with my contact with USCB to see if we can get an artist that wants to preserve it. Maybe put it on a special mount that we can maybe put it on a piece of concrete that it can settle onto, that we can anchor into just to secure the art in place. So we're still working on that.
Piece of concrete, huh?
Well, any way that we can
Something
kind of secure the
To
foundation.
elevate it?
I don't want it to just sit there and then maybe somebody take it over time, you know, or do anything to it. I would like the memorial to be kind of secure, just kind of like how the mermaid secured to the platform. So that's something I would want if we were gonna do that, just because of the traffic and you have to think of vandalism, you know. But that portion I'm still working on, but I think Brown Park is a very good location for it. Just like I said, with the shade that's there, it can be less wear and tear on the world. They can preserve a lot longer. The foot traffic is certainly there. And plus, I think it adds kind of some character, because I don't really think it's just Mermaid Park, but you add the other art piece in there, you know, the character of it is the art piece that's being put into that park there, you know?
He strikes me as the kind of guy who would want to give his gloves, but wherever y'all want to put it, but nobody's running down here telling us where to put it. Hell, he didn't leave us a note. Driftwood, where you want to go? So, yeah. He's the bluff kind of guy.
Okay. Anything else regarding the Driftwood project? No? Okay, move right along. Ptac responsibility changes work session.
So with Isaiah not being here, he didn't make last meeting or this, so I would assume that we might need to propose a change of somebody representing Ptac for the responsibility changes. I've received them from Isaiah and forwarded them to Nathan, the public works director, and he is sending them to Scott Marshall, city manager, for approval. So in hopes that we'll try to get it on the next work session in September.
And someone from Ptac is gonna have to attend that work session.
Yes,
What is that date?
it would be the second Tuesday. Yeah. So. Then it will be,
Second Tuesday in September?
and that would be the aim to get on work session, and then obviously it would have to go through the first reading of being presented, and then obviously going through the second, which would be probably the regular council meeting the month after that in October, which also would be the second Tuesday in October.
Okay, so basically, we need to check with him to see if he's available to attend that meeting.
Yes. And then I would just kind of have a backup plan in case he doesn't, so that, because obviously by that next meeting, we wouldn't have met until later in the month. So having somebody chosen now to at least represent in case he can't, so we don't have to try to jump through loops.
Mhm.
But having somebody that can represent Ptac in case Isaiah cannot.
I know that I cannot, because I have another meeting that I have to attend. Like at 5:30.
Yeah.
So are any of you all available to be a backup for Isaiah to attend the work session?
I don't mean on September 9th. I think the same meeting you have, maybe.
You actually have that same meeting. Indeed you do. How about y'all? Are you available?
So I mean, I would plan to show up anyway, but there might be a comment that you might have to respond to. And once he presents it, who knows, you never know what will happen at a meeting. But I'm available.
What do you mean a comment?
Like the council might comment on at the work session, I'm sure they would say something. So we as a Ptac might hear what they have to say, and then you might want to give feedback on that. Or I guess the spokesperson could.
I think essentially, we have determined the changes that we wish to make. You said it's already going to the
City manager.
city manager for his approval. So by then, I mean, I don't know why he would.
They still, Ptac should represent itself because it is the recommended changes from Ptac.
So essentially going to this meeting is basically a presentation of what we want to do. So
And they may
it's
have,
already written,
Again-
it's already written down what we wish to do.
not only they may have a comment, but they may have a question for whoever it is, Isaac or whoever.
September's, and I'm not trying to say like it has to be the September meeting, but obviously we don't want to keep kicking the can down the road.
No, we want
You want
to
to
be done
get
with
it,
that.
be done with it. So September would be the soonest that we can get you on. And then
Okay.
October it would finalize, as long as city council doesn't have any recommended changes to the responsibilities or anything that they want to add or amend, so.
Yeah.
I actually have, my dogs have a dental cleaning. Literally that one day. I'll be in Bluffton.
We're
At
hoping
5.
that Isaiah will be there.
Right.
That's.
I mean, there's a slim possibility that I could make it back, but it won't be at 5:30.
No guarantees.
Yeah.
But, and you're good? I mean, so far?
Yeah, I'm right around the corner, but I mean, I plan to come even with Isaac saying he can come, so I'll be here, but I'll try to make it regardless.
Bill makes
In the
most of it.
meantime, I'll contact.
We'll tag team. Me and Isaac.
Okay, very good. And we'll move on to new business.
So, I had spoke with Tracy Coleman,
Mhm.
city clerk, and Shay, you had proposed the question that if we can move our meetings from 3 o'clock to 3:30. I've spoken with Sean. Sean said that he can accommodate that change as long as the group puts it to a vote and we all agree that 3:30 works for all of us start time meeting. But we have to know that when the time does change, we are not going back to 3 o'clock or changing
Right.
again, because these times and dates are set like a year in advance for people to know when the meetings are. So
Sure.
if we change them from 3 to 3:30, it will stay 3:30.
So if we change it to 3:30, it will become effective next month?
Yes, our next meeting, we would
Okay.
be able to do that.
Further
She
discussion?
wrote to me, because I said, hey, any chance we might can change the meetings? And I was just like, 10 minutes, and she's like, so she explains to me how government wheels work, and I thought, oh, lady, no, I will find somebody to cover my classes, like that is like an act of Congress to get this meeting. So I'm okay with that change now,
Well,
I
I mean,
taking care of business.
she said it's completely up to us. She just said respectfully, obviously, we asked Sean because we have to work around his schedule to make sure that he's able to fill those time slots. Like you said, he graciously is able to accommodate. So if you guys want to, you can obviously put it to a vote. And if it's unanimous, then you can change it to 3:30.
I'm fine with that.
I don't have an issue with 3:30.
Joe, are you good with 3:30?
Motion at 3:30 PM, as long as it's not AM.
I'll give you the key. You can be here.
I'll second that. Okay, is there a motion to change our meeting times to 3:30?
Motion.
Okay, second,
Second.
very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
I'll tell Tracy.
Okay, 3:30 it is.
So any new business? Because I know we've been working on a couple of business projects.
One thing I did want to bring up and tell them, there are 2 very large live oaks that are suffering on Hermitage. And they're on either side of the rail trail.
Yep.
And we have been working to
Maybe.
I would say, no, we didn't do root invigoration because you
No,
said they were,
it was, so they did, it was the root collar excavation a little bit where they exposed the roots and then they put down the fertilizer and then covered it with
Yeah,
with arbor. And there was, I believe, 2 or 3 treatments, and then we're coming on the 3rd one at the end of September or early October is what they said.
these are sizable live oaks that don't look like they're like the other live oaks along, in the medians. They're just really kind of suffering. And what I wanted to bring to your attention again, I know we've talked about this, is putting up a fence so you don't have cars parking on the roof flares. Because I think the
There is
one
a
live
huge
oak
issue.
is suffering because of the traffic it's realizing from people who are too lazy to
Well, because
park further
obviously,
down.
we had the issue with Hermitage Road early on with people cutting through the medians to the U-turn earlier before than the first U-turn. So we had to put up split rail, probably that whole first stretch of 150 to maybe 200 feet.
Mhm.
So then we're having the same issue when people are having house parties that they're parking on top of the roof flares, and it's You know, it's not like it's a couple of feet off the trunk, you're talking maybe
On top
a
of it,
foot or two away from the actual
away from the bar.
trunk, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? So for the one tree on Hermitage, not the one near the sewer, but across the street, for that one tree, I think that if the tree sits here and here's the rail trail, I think that you need to come all the way around that point with some kind of fencing. So they're not allowed to park on either side of that tree,
Yeah,
on any side of that tree, essentially.
I'm not
Because-
opposed to it. The only thing is because it's DOT
Right,
right away. They probably have to, it being that close, because I think with the split rail going in the middle of the median, it's not so close to the actual roadway itself. So there's still sort of an easement in between. We would have to probably submit an encroachment permit for something like that to be able to protect roof there, because the fencing would go a little bit further closest to the right of way.
well,
So-
something needs to be done
Yes.
ASAP because football season is started and
know.
football parties are starting. So, you know,
So that's,
it's important.
Does the city have the authority to do a no parking get towed?
unless it's written in our ordinance, it probably can.
It-
If it was written.
You
in
have
our
signs in, not in that median, but in the median toward Reebok Road, the next one, no parking in median. I mean, there are signs, but
I'd have to talk to Nate, but I think as long as there's an ordinance that can back some sort of implementation where police can enforce it, I believe we can make the signage up to do that.
Cause that might be faster while we work with DOT on
Yeah,
the
it's-
encroachment.
We can create a sign and probably have it within anywhere from a week to
yeah.
3 weeks.
It doesn't have to be like the whole median, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
that very first part where that tree is,
Yeah.
and. You know, it's really important to move forward with that.
No, I 100% agree, because it's obviously been an issue and for a tree that size, it's not gonna be good for itself, especially if it's already in decline. And we've been trying to make treatments to it, you don't want that. So,
And I don't know what else to do, I know we asked Michael Murphy to assess it.
Yeah.
And short of. Know what else to do to invigorate it.
I think that's a good idea of trying to see if there's something that we can, that's enforceable. Because at least if there's something that's enforceable, we have something to stand on. You know, I could talk to Nate and we can look through the ordinance and kind of see if there's something that we can work with while we wait for approval through the.
You know, one more sign on that section of the median, because. You know, right when you, like if you're coming from Reebok Road down, if you could put another sign right there at the beginning of that median. No parking, that would be helpful.
I agree.
So. Maybe I'll take some steaks in the middle of the night.
Citizens arrest.
Exactly. Okay, new business. Any new business?
Does anybody have anything that they want us to look into or talk about? Any trouble areas you've noticed?
Here's a question I have. If one of us or a citizen sees a dead tree and there's no initiative to take it down and it's in someone's yard and they don't take any steps to remove it, are you open to taking it down?
So the city would not work on private property.
Well, I didn't think so.
We would not, we don't have jurisdiction to work on private property. I don't know if there's something, and again, this is outside of my department. I wouldn't want to say codes can do something about it because I don't know if they have jurisdiction. If it's private property and it's a dangerous tree, obviously it's up to the homeowner to do something, but. You know,
So
there's,
as the prices continue to rise and, I've been having to get prices lately to trim trees, remove trees, it's, if a homeowner doesn't have the funds to do it, wasn't there something in the tree ordinance that said that that our fund would help pay for things like that?
I'd have to look into it. I could definitely look into that and see if there is language in there that can assist somebody that may not have the money to be able to take down a hazardous tree. But again, I would have to look into that, just to read the language and see if there is something along the lines of that.
I just remember, and this is going back some years, but Liza, that I thought that there was something in there, for that.
Well, obviously with the recommended changes too, we have to see if they kept it in there. That might be something that if it's not, maybe that's something we can recommend.
There is a tree on Reynolds, where Reynolds and Elliott come together, that I thought the city had bought that property. It's that white house.
Right at the end,
Yes, I thought the city had bought that piece of property
to turn that into,
affordable housing. And there is a dead tree that drops limbs on the road. Like, I don't even like to walk under it. I mean, it's dead. And I called the city to come look at some trees that are city trees in my yard, and they're like, oh no, yours are really healthy. Not like that one on, they said it on Elliott and Reynolds, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know the tree you're talking about. But it is a hazard, and if there's a big wind or there's a rainstorm, there are limbs on the road.
Hmm.
But the tree is behind the chain link fence, but I'm under the impression the city bought that piece of property.
I remember that,
That's something we can look into.
yeah.
We can look through our records and see what
Beaver County, you guys.
be able to tell us who owns it.
Yeah, this one right across from the technical college.
I'll share that with Nate right after this meeting.
All right, any other new business? No? Is there any public comment? Anything else?
Can I just ask a question? That new apartment complex that's going up beside Lowe's. Like, you drive down Rubber Street, it's wide open and it's massive. Like, what is the plan? Like, are they having to replant a buffer or something?
I cannot tell you. Obviously,
Okay,
Public Works is not purview to those
okay,
designs in that process.
I understand.
That'd be planning,
Unless,
wouldn't it be?
obviously, well, the only time we would get involved is obviously if there is an easement or some sort of pipeline that we would have to maintain. If it was city property, that's the only time that Public Works would get involved. So there's something we had to maintain, or if there was a maintenance agreement that the city signed, that's the only time that Public Works would get involved.
And that is city property, correct?
That apartment complex?
Yeah, the big apartment across from Lowe's.
I would again.
So I
if
thought I came through planning and they allowed, it was during COVID, and it was whoever was working. Allowed for all that clear cutting to take place.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, that's a huge.
Since you brought this up, a lot of the issue with these apartment developments is they've been approved, the plan been approved for them upwards of a decade or more ago, but nothing, the plans were approved, but there was no timeline, there's no sunset date essentially for it, so they're still subject to the original codes and ordinances at the time of the approval. Now, if we wanted to, we could make a recommendation for changing Ptac responsibilities. We could make a change that requires that if you get a tree assessment by the city, you have to renew it every 5 years regardless of anything planning related and have that completely separate. So we could do that, so that way, we don't have an instance where a developer comes in and purchases a piece of property and has the old tree ordinance rules on it and then proceeds to sit on it for 20 years before actually developing, his planning plans are still set up and good to go, but we could basically, with the tree ordinance, say, nope, hold on, you have to get another tree assessment because you waited too long. So that could be something that we could propose to city council, to, kind of make a change on that, so that way we don't have instances where, developments that have been approved over a decade ago.
I think that's a great idea.
Yes, I do too.
I
And it's one of the reasons I wanted to be on this committee.
I think that's something to pursue, consider.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
I think you could put that to a vote, and they would just be an amendment made to your responsibility changes that can just be added in before you present the council.
So do we need to add that? Well, look, I mean,
You
do we
probably,
have to vote on that first here in our committee before we put it forward to?
Any recommended changes that you would make that is towards your responsibilities, you would have to vote on.
Who would write up the language on that? Us or you guys or?
I can look
Or
into it.
can we
I'm pretty
action?
sure you guys wrote up the language for most of your responsibility changes, correct? I think
we did.
they might pass that, they might have somebody that looks into it that may.
Yeah, obviously, there's, plenty of legal considerations, yeah.
So,
But that could be something that, essentially any developer who wants to sit on a property after getting plans approved, they're gonna have to do a tree reassessment every 5 years or so in order to make sure that it still keeps. And, have it be, you can have it so that way the assessment is in guidelines with what is the most current tree ordinance at the time, not does it still meet the original ordinance when you had your plans approved, but you could basically say, okay, your plans might be approved, but the tree ordinance is now changed, so there might actually be a possibility they have to change plans to be in compliance with the new
Make
tree
amendments
ordinance.
to it, yeah, which would make them developers very unhappy.
Well,
It would, because it's additional cost.
pardon my French, but go or get off the pot.
Oh, well. So, no, I think it's a good idea. You want to be in charge of
I can work on that.
putting that into the right verbiage. I think that's a great idea.
Is there a timeline that we can agree to, a certain number of years or any other type of stipulations?
Why did you throw out 5 years versus 3 or? And I'm sure developers are gonna come back and say, well, I'm grandfathered in. Like, okay, from this point on, yes, but
Yeah, if there are any plans that have already been in the works and already approved,
Yeah.
obviously, but anything, the moment that city council votes and says, the final reading says, we've now changed it. We've now changed the ordinance on this. Any plan after that date is now going to be subjected to this. I only threw out 5 years because, it kind of depends. You have economic ups and downs, financing issues. I think personally, I feel like 3 years, if you're a developer, might be a little bit too short. Yeah, a little bit too strenuous to do that. Obviously, if it's more than, if it's a decade or more, it's kind of like, okay, what's the plan here? But 5 years would probably be a pretty good, yeah, a good compromise, especially for, economic ups and downs, interest rate changes. I mean, think of it, think of the differences economically from today versus 5 years ago.
Sure.
So, but in that time frame, in that 5 years, plenty has changed. So if there's room to actually go forward with with the development, then it needs to happen.
and I would also say, like, we keep talking about this, and you brought it up, like the urban tree map.
Master plan.
The master plan.
Right.
That we don't have. And how this. Like, those apartment buildings without any buffer are just,
Eyesores.
oh my.
Maybe, should I not say?
Well,
eyesores?
the question is, where does the
They
water
need a
go?
buffer. Yeah,
Where's the water go?
you mean drainage?
Surely they ain't got a drainage. I mean, that's,
I would think that they would have had some kind of drainage plan approved before they even got started.
But keep in mind, a lot of these plans are over 10 years ago when it was a little bit more relaxed and we didn't have the level of development pressure that we do now.
Oh, I'm sure. I can just reflect back on, developing 2 acres, and this was county, not city. Some years ago. 2021. But I think it needs a buffer. I don't know how much pressure or control we have to cause that to happen. But I would think that they would do something in the front.
It also obviously too, if they had already agreed upon landscape designs for the end phase. See if they were gonna put in the vegetation
What?
buffer.
It was at another meeting that we were attending that people were commenting on the landscape design or lack of it along that corridor. They were complaining about the landscaping in front of the going for parks, the Parks Place.
Oh,
Can't remember what it's called.
On Robert's Mall.
Right on 170 there.
the 5-minute oil or the
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right over the rail trail on the right.
Now,
oh, well, that's
or advanced auto.
CarQuest, that's CarQuest, there are, I think, Advanced Auto, I think you're right. It depends on which way you're coming, because if you come from the one side, then it's CarQuest, the other way, it's Advanced Auto.
Anyway, I'm in agreement with you. It would be nice to have some kind of buffer, but I have no idea what their landscape plans are.
Right, well, and what I would just simply say is, isn't that why we sit here, is, like you asked, has anybody noticed any like dead trees? That there are, like, I noticed there's a big eyesore sitting on Robert's Malls with no trees, and it bothers me, and isn't that kind of what we're supposed to be saying, hey, why aren't there some trees?
And where are, right, what is your plan? We would have to go to planning to find out what
Yeah,
their,
you can pull the plans from the city to take a look at what's on file. So, and it'll tell you what the approval date was too, when it was submitted and approved by the city.
For we cut down 7 live oaks, but we put back 3 Bradford pears.
I'm not disagreeing with you. So,
Is that on our banned trees for
Right.
I think it was
plans?
And I use that just as an
Yeah.
example, but what I'm saying is we cut down these trees that cannot be grown back in any great length of time and put in,
Not in our generations.
yeah.
What's the, Barb, you're more familiar with our tree ordinance. Do we have one where new trees that are planted as part of landscape design require a certain amount of permeable area around it?
I can't remember language to that effect, can you?
I think there is something in.
Permeable land around newly planted trees?
Yeah, so if we go, if someone goes, oh, we're gonna plant a live oak, we're not having the, the 10 foot of, 10 foot of
like
space
what we
than
talked-
concrete.
I believe they're,
Like what we talked about
Yeah,
our
I
last.
can't say
meeting.
100%, but like Whitehall's design was based off of that. That
Okay.
most of the construction around is pervious. The driveway is pervious, the sidewalks is pervious, and I think the only concrete you have is obviously the foundation for the
handicap and sidewalks.
and the building itself, but the walkway that leads out to the walking route is also pervious.
Yeah, I think that there is language in the ordinance related to that. I'd have to go back and refresh, but I'm pretty sure that there's language.
I'll double check.
Mhm.
I'll double check on that because, like I said,
Drainage.
yeah, because we want to consider, not just the size of the tree at time of planting, but what it's going to become.
Eventually.
Yeah.
That was one of the problems that we had with the trees that were planted along.
Boundary.
Along the side street here, A lot of them, a number of them are
Well,
suffering, some of them
again-
died.
It goes back to that point is you can't think of the tree when you buy it at 15 or 30 gallon, it's only an inch or 2 inch caliber tree. You have to think, well, this live oak, when it gets to its 15, 20 years, that root system is gonna start pushing up. And what's around it. Is it asphalt? Is it concrete? Is it pulpy? You know, nature's gonna take its way. You can't put a live oak in a 4x4 space. It's going to demand its space and it's gonna take it back. So you have to think about the species of what you're putting in. What is it going to be in 15, 20, 30 years? You know, you can't think about it now, because right now it will work. But 10, 15 years down the road, it's gonna start really establishing itself and growing and reaching out. That canopy's gonna stretch out, and that root system's gonna go a little bit further out past it, and then it's gonna look for more risk.
And who is checking that when developers submit their plans?
I can speak on it, but I would assume that there's somebody that oversees the plans.
You know, there used to be a certified arborist that worked for the city of Beaufort. And since Liza retired, the city of Beaufort has not had another arborist on staff.
I do know they consult with Michael.
Oh, yeah, as needed, and he's very, very good,
Right.
I know. But somebody on staff that oversees that? No, they don't.
Not that I know of.
No, not, I don't think in the planning, not that I know, of, in the planning department. So if,
This committee should make a recommendation that an arborist get hired.
I think that that's in the best interest of the city of Beaufort, but
I'm trying.
I don't know about a full-time staff member, or at least somebody that's contracted out too.
well, Michael Murphy's contracted out.
Yeah.
And he's, I think he's just one of the best.
There's two of us in beside public works, myself and one other that are trying to be sure a lot of ours.
Okay,
Okay.
you're a man.
I don't know how we can work after that, but obviously it helps me, helps our department from caring for the parks, so.
Cause I know all plans are supposed to, they're supposed to be in agreement with the tree ordinance regardless, yeah. So-
I don't think that's happened, as far as I know. I mean,
We have,
do you?
and part of the ordinance is landscaping, parking, all that, so
Mhm.
it should be.
Oh, I was referring to, have we been, I don't think that the tree board's been asked to look at anything. I mean, we haven't.
Not that I can
Mm-mm.
remember.
I have actually something else as well. Do you guys want me to look into the, talking about Boundary Street out here with the trees and everything that we've got going on? A lot of people don't know this, but there's a brick tunnel underneath Boundary Street that's used for water drainage. You know, the issues that we've had out here in front of the county building of the road collapsing in.
Yeah.
That's because the brick tunnel is falling apart. Do you guys want me to look into, how the trees that are planted along Boundary have been affecting this tunnel that's not being maintained by the state?
I didn't know about this.
I didn't either. Is that whole road going to be a sinkhole?
Wait a minute, what?
There is
What street is collapsing?
Boundary to Carteret.
Ready outside?
If you go from where the old Kmart is and you
Yeah.
drive towards downtown and you go around Bellamy's Curve and you go down towards the bridge, look at all the little road patches on that side of the road. And directly underneath there is a brick tunnel that I don't know the exact date it was built, but it's at least more than 60 years old and it's brick and mortar. The mortar is all the water drainage that's been pushing through has been eating out the mortar, and because that is a DOT road, DOT has not been maintaining that mortar under there appropriately. So that's why you have all those patches and, the road is falling inwards essentially.
That would be,
It just happened in Savannah.
And it's about 30 feet
Like
in some
yesterday.
places deep.
30 feet deep
Yeah, like the
And-
one right in front
and
of
it's
the county building.
collapsing.
Yeah.
That would be an incredibly huge undertaking to replace that with.
Charleston has similar tunnels, but they did this almost a decade ago where they went through and reinforced everything, and then they did some kind of a polymer coat, if I remember, that they actually slathered on the insides of their drainage tunnels that Charleston did. Again, that's a DOT issue that that they basically are gonna have to pony up and figure out. However, being a tree committee, we can basically determine if the trees planted are appropriate because of, because we have root conditions that we have to consider. We have weight conditions, because keep in mind, all those trees that are planted there are gonna start growing, getting bigger, and not only that, they're gonna start going towards where a water source is, and brick and mortar, last I checked, does not do well with roots.
I'm not riding down that road anymore.
Well, it always goes back to that funny thing where you see the pictures of the trees and everybody thinks that, the roots go all the way deep. They don't. They're only within the first 12, 18 inches of the soil is where most of your.
Yeah, and they go laterally.
Yeah,
Yes.
so anything down there is losing oxygen, is choking itself out and dying, so.
I have never heard this. I'm shocked.
You heard of the zigzag road, take that instead.
Is Big Sandy Road?
The one, she said she wasn't gonna ride that road anymore, you take the zigzag road. I'm joking.
My God, that's a lot to just wait for.
That's well, they call it the parallel road, I call it the zigzag road.
I mean, we could, we could look into it and start pulling records to make sure that, what we do have control above the surface is, in keeping with, minimizing the amount of potential damage to the tunnel.
So essentially, this tunnel, does it go all along the whole road?
It's not the
Underneath
entire
whole road,
width.
Or is it on one side of it?
It's not the entire width. I don't actually have the full blueprints or breakdown of where it is, but when you go down Boundary and Carteret, only one side of the road has any kind of issue, so I assume it's, yeah, I think it's maybe about 1 lane wide, give or take.
Something came up, I gotta go help somebody.
All right,
Good job, Joe.
Bye, Jeff. Bye. I've never heard of this. It's deeply concerning.
Well, I know we did get a public comment from Councilman Scaletti. He did say the council enhanced the TPZ from 6 inches per dBH to 1 foot per dBH, and he appreciates Ptac's involvement and recommendation on this matter. So the voices were.
That's what you recommended last.
we recommended 1.5, but they went with 1 foot, so
Oh.
6.
That's a compromise.
It's a compromise.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you. Yes, okay. Back to the trees in
Yes.
this volatile region.
What trees are, I just can't even think of what the trees are that are planted on that road, but
Along Boundary,
yes.
Their cathedral.
Cathedral Oaks, right,
Cathedral
because,
Oaks.
I remember because there were complaints about planting live oaks.
Well, I believe they chose the cathedral, and then obviously the closest cultivar to a cathedral is the high rise because of the pyramidal shape. So that would allow the limb structure to go up first, and then at a
Not
certain point,
laterally.
then it will start out laterally. So that's why they used that, but still,
Yeah.
a cathedral live oak is still gonna have similar root system, especially at full maturity, or even half maturity.
yeah.
Cause you can look at a lot of trees and think, oh, well, they've gotta be 50, 60 years old, but they're really only 20, maybe 15, 20, 25 years. And they're pretty decent size,
Mhm.
35, almost 40 feet, depending on which,
And how much water you
environment.
get?
Yeah, well, they're,
I know I got my own pool.
yeah. But it is one of those, yes, it's a beautiful tree and there's not many like it, but it does come with its constraints, especially in the urban society.
Back to what we're talking about in terms of assessing the trees along the road.
I can look into, what we've got going on out there essentially.
You want to and tell us in our next meeting?
Yeah, I can do that.
That'd be great.
I'll look at how much permeable area does it have, and because I know Boundary Street's not very permeable outside of little slivers it's got. And then not only that, considerations with where the considerations with that brick tunnel.
put on the agenda.
Okay.
Next week.
So the tunnel's made out of brick, it's not like
Brick-
concrete?
It's brick and mortar.
Not like this, it should be like the big
You know, like-
concrete tube, pipes.
Yeah,
Have you, there's a tunnel in West Virginia in Paw, West Virginia. It's one of the longest, brick tunnels in the world. It was built in the I want to say the 1860s or 1880s. It's
so
a
this
railroad
is,
path.
this is like a round brick tunnel.
Think of, yeah,
Why did they make it out of brick?
that was the material that they had at the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
and
was,
how long ago was this made?
I'd have to go back I'd have to go back in the archives and take a look, but it's at least older than the 50s and 60s. I assume it's probably back when they were getting ready to pave the road and they went ahead and laid that down. So at least what, 1920s or 30s maybe, give or take?
Think about,
100 years old.
Yeah,
yeah. Think about,
I mean, if
think
you-
about the weight, you're talking a brick tunnel, like a brick tunnel
I
out
was
of
gonna say the drainage
bricks.
system's
Right.
the point.
I'm aghast at this. A brick tunnel, think about the weight it has, had to support over the years, all the traffic and the growth that's taken place, cars.
The number of cars that go down Boundary Street. on
Every
their
day.
way to
Yeah.
See Allen Parkway.
and the weight as well with full on 18 wheelers.
Yeah. Wow. It's a wonder. I mean, what do I know? But
Oh, you got the road opening up out there, so
I was gonna
tells you what
say,
you need to know.
it's a wonder that there haven't been more problems with that lapse.
So it's, I just want to make clear, it's going down that way, it's the right-hand side. Never traveling that way.
Yeah, if you go,
I
there's,
It's-
I don't know exactly where it starts, but my understanding is it starts near where where the Kmart parking lot is.
Yes,
And it comes down all the way to Bellamy's Curve.
on
turns
that side,
on the right-hand side.
So the cemetery side, so 16.
On the cemetery side.
And then
Yeah.
all the way down towards Bellamy's Curve and then Carteret.
and all the way down Carteret.
All the way to Carteret to the bridge.
Goodness, interesting.
Because there's no way to avoid that
Yeah.
road.
No.
Really
Circle.
interesting. Okay, what else do you have for us?
Wow.
I'll go with that. So I'll work on the language for tree assessment every 5 years, essentially, to make sure that it's in keeping with whatever the newest tree ordinance regulations are. And that, if you get a plan, if you get a development plan approved, then you're gonna have to get that reassessment every 5 years if you don't initiate development. And then I'll make sure that the new trees planted, I'll double check subjected to the permeable area restrictions around them. So that way, when they're, at full maturity, they are properly supported with enough water and permeable area around them, and we're not concreting up to the trunk. And then I'll pull info on the brick tunnel and, kind of take a look at see if we can figure out some kind of a way to determine what the weight of each one of those cathedral oaks is gonna be, in addition to, I can probably reach out to DOT and see if they've got anything on what kind of traffic goes over that area. I'm sure they've got something, and the weight restrictions, and basically see if if a 100-year-old brick tunnel without mortar can support it.
But DOT let the city of Beaufort put in live oaks, knowing that there is a crumbling tunnel.
I don't know who allowed that. I believe Boundary Street completed, I think around 2016, 2017, because I started with the city in 2018.
I don't
and we
ever-
just took over maintenance.
I don't ever remember this tunnel issue being discussed. I'm very interested in this and very surprised. I never, all these years, knew that this tunnel existed.
Yep.
But you would think that, with the potential weight of these trees growing over that tunnel, that Other people might know that.
I don't even think of the weight, I just think of like my own like terracotta sewage pipes from old. And this is essentially, that's all it is. It's a terracotta pipe
In pieces.
with live oaks just drawn to it like a moth to the flame.
Well, I will say the difference between terracotta and the way that this tunnel is constructed is that it's following, Roman architectural, with arches, so the pressure is going downwards, but the problem is the upper strata of the arch, which is really the keystone of how keeping the whole thing together, that is falling through because there is a lack of maintenance on the state's behalf to this tunnel. They're not.
How's the state go about doing the maintenance on this tunnel? Dig up the road and
You literally send somebody down
Right.
with like mortar. Yeah,
climb into the tunnel and do it from inside
that's what they did in front of the county building.
here?
Yeah, recently when they just had the shutdown and they've been in and out for the past couple months,
I didn't know that.
they've been sending somebody
I didn't
down.
know that.
I watched it. I like worked right around the corner. See them.
So you
Interesting.
send your most least claustrophobic individual.
Road guy, yeah, down there.
Down there.
And then, mix up some brick mortar and go, here, repoint between all the spaces on the gaps that you see. Now, again, like I said, Charleston has pretty much the exact same system, but they went back, I want to say at least 10 or 15 years ago. They realized that that was collapsing in on itself as well due to a lack of maintenance. And they went in and repointed all the brick, and then they came back with a polymer essentially. So it was like a sleeve that basically went in and hardened all of that. So there was no exposure of the brick and mortar with the water.
Yeah.
It was essentially like a nice big stucco coating.
And it created
Inside.
On the,
Yeah.
on the inside.
It
On the
created
inside.
Well, you
seal,
have to do it from the inside,
Yes.
correct.
because it created seal and then the water's going through the polymer instead of the actual.
How
water itself.
big is this pipe?
It depends, because there's different
What's
sizes
the
depending
diameter
on the
of the
sleeve.
pipe?
Of this tunnel?
Yeah.
The part that is in front of the county building where they had the collapse through is, I believe, about 30 feet deep.
It's 30 feet?
Yeah, it's in some places, it's about 30 feet.
Yeah, you can stand that, I
You
mean.
mean tall?
Yeah.
Wow.
We've got the cloaca maxima right underneath us. Oh my God. The Roman sewer system.
Yeah.
You can sail a boat in it. It's still around. It was built over 2,000 years ago.
A lot of old, the galvanized plumbing systems, they use the same, where it kind of just goes through and it becomes the new pipe itself.
Yeah. Now,
Interesting.
other parts, it's not obviously not as deep, but right there, in front of the county building where they had that collapse in, it's about 30 feet deep there.
They would have to
three-story.
pick a
That's a-
time,
a
a dry
three-story
spell, correct? Would they have to pick to be able to do maintenance during a dry spell? So there's not that much water in there, correct? So you have the mortar.
You would want moisture, you would want it
Yeah.
to be able to dry out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll look at that. Is there anything else?
Interesting. I don't have anything else, do y'all? All right,
I'll see y'all next month at 3:30.
meeting is adjourned.
Function, second.